What unfolds when a CEO enters his own restaurant, only to witness a homeless man being denied service? Jason Carter tilted the brim of his baseball cap, concealing his face behind a scruffy beard and thick glasses. He appeared far from the refined CEO of an expanding restaurant chain boasting 12 locations throughout the state. Years had passed since he last entered one of his restaurants as a patron, and a wave of anxiety washed over him. There had been an accumulation of customer complaints regarding discourteous service, significant employee turnover, and a marked decline in sales at several locations. Exhausted by the constant stream of excuses from his regional managers, he resolved to uncover the reality himself, incognito. This spot may not have been the most bustling, yet it had been noted for its erratic operations. Jason entered, seamlessly merging with the crowd of patrons. The aroma of searing patties and golden, crisp fries wafted through the atmosphere. The environment appeared tidy, yet an unsettling sensation lingered. Workers shuffled slowly behind the counter, while the manager, recognized by her name tag as Sandra, was absorbed in her phone in the corner. Jason stepped into the queue, keenly watching the interactions among the staff. A young cashier, likely in her early 20s, appeared to be struggling, managing a flurry of orders as the others wandered around her. Just as he was about to place his order, something intriguing drew his attention near the entrance. A man clad in worn garments, his face etched with the marks of time, entered cautiously, clutching a plastic bag that contained his few possessions. He glanced around anxiously, uncertain of his next move. Jason observed as Sandra instantly became alert, not to assist but to challenge him. "Hey, you're not supposed to be in here," Sandra snapped, her tone cutting and icy. "Loitering is not permitted. Find another place to be." The man lifted his hands in a protective gesture. "I was hoping to grab a glass of water. I assure you, I'm not creating any disturbances." "I said no," Sandra interrupted, her voice rising, attracting the attention of other patrons. "Leave now or I will have to contact the authorities." Jason stood still. The man's shoulders drooped as he whispered, "I'm sorry," and started to move toward the door. "Hold on," Jason interjected, stepping out of line. His voice wasn't booming, yet it held a certain gravity that drew Sandra and the others' attention. "This isn't your business," Sandra snapped, folding her arms. Jason brushed her off and approached the man. "My good sir, you mentioned that your only desire was for water." The man nodded, his eyes weary yet filled with appreciation. "I assure you, I'll depart immediately afterward." Jason glanced over at Sandra once more. "It's merely water. Why couldn't he have a cup?" Sandra let out an exasperated sigh. "We don't operate as a charitable organization. Individuals like him deter potential clients." Jason fixed his gaze on her, a storm of anger simmering beneath his composed facade, yet he maintained a steady tone. "I'm willing to cover any expenses he desires. Make sure he gets a meal as well." Sandra appeared poised for a debate, yet she conceded with a hesitant nod. Jason placed an order for the man's meal and offered him a cup for water. Jason advised him to savor his meal. "No one is being disturbed by you." The man's appreciation was palpable as he sat silently in a secluded booth, his head lowered over the tray. Jason redirected his focus to Sandra, who was once again absorbed in her phone, scrolling through its contents. The young cashier from earlier approached Jason as he returned to the line. "I appreciate it," she murmured, her eyes flickering anxiously in Sandra's direction. "I wished to assist him, yet I was apprehensive about facing consequences." Jason felt a heavy weight in his chest. He noticed the fear reflected in her eyes, the uncertainty lingering there. He presented himself as Mike, maintaining his disguise, and inquired about her name. "Emma," she murmured, her voice scarcely audible. Jason placed his order and settled at a table, taking a moment to scrutinize the restaurant's ambience more intently. Sandra's conduct remained unchanged. She shouted commands at her team, seldom offered assistance, and devoted more time to her phone than to her responsibilities. In the midst of it all, Emma poured her heart into her work, her warmth radiating even as the weight of her responsibilities bore down on her. Jason's thoughts surged. He understood he couldn't allow this to pass unnoticed. Yet, he required additional time to fully understand the extent of the issues at hand. Upon completing his meal, he resolved to come back the following day, remaining incognito to explore further. However, it was evident that transformations were on the horizon. The following morning, Jason made his way to the restaurant right before the lunch crowd, still clad in the same disguise. This time, he tucked a small notebook into his pocket to capture his observations. The ambience remained unchanged. Staff moved about behind the counter, and Sandra found herself once more at the register, enjoying a coffee while scrolling through her phone. Jason walked up to the counter, feigning the role of a newcomer on the team. "Hello, I'm set to begin today. I was instructed to touch base with the manager," he mentioned, his tone relaxed, while Sandra hardly glanced up. "We're quite busy today, so please follow Emma around for a while. She'll guide you on what to do," she remarked, pointing to the young cashier from yesterday. Jason nodded and approached Emma, who gave him a tentative smile. "Hello, Mike, is that correct? I wasn't aware you were beginning today," she remarked, her tone gentle yet uncertain. "Sure, it was a last-minute decision," Jason said, running his fingers through his hair. "Looks like I'll be spending some time with you for the moment." Emma nodded and started to demonstrate the fundamentals of taking orders, operating the register, and overseeing the movement of customers. Before long, Jason observed the extent of her multitasking as she handled customer complaints, delivered orders to tables, and even cleared away trash in the dining area. "Does it always become this wild?" During a moment of quiet, Jason inquired of her. Emma cast a quick look behind her to ensure Sandra was not eavesdropping. "Exactly. Most days we're short-staffed, so it feels overwhelming," Jason frowned. "Doesn't Sandra help out?" Emma hesitated, then shook her head. "Not quite. She claims that performing what she refers to as grunt work is beneath her responsibilities." As the lunch rush grew more chaotic, Jason began to understand Emma's perspective. Sandra issued commands to the staff as chaos unfolded, yet offered no help herself. Instead, she admonished Emma for her perceived slowness, despite the young woman's relentless efforts to manage customers and orders efficiently. At a certain moment, a mother accompanied by her 2 young children came to the counter to express her dissatisfaction with an incorrect order. Emma swiftly expressed her regrets and assured that she would rectify the situation. Yet Sandra cut in, her eyes rolling in exasperation. "Perhaps if you had placed your order correctly from the beginning, we wouldn't be facing this problem," Sandra remarked, her voice laced with disdain. The mother's cheeks flushed with color. "Pardon me," Sandra shrugged, expressing her disapproval of the way someone addressed a customer. "I'm merely pointing out that we have a lot on our plates, and errors can occur. There's no need to create a fuss over it." Jason advanced, his hands balled into tight fists at his sides. "I'll handle this," he stated, casting a meaningful glance at Sandra. Then, addressing the mother, he expressed, "I truly apologize for the confusion. Your order will be remade immediately, and there's no charge for it." The mother eased a bit and gave a nod. "Thanks a lot." While Emma focused on reworking the order, Jason discreetly led Sandra away for a private conversation. "Do you believe that was a suitable approach to managing a customer?" he inquired, maintaining a steady tone. Sandra folded her arms across her chest. "Listen, if you want to make it in this place, you have to understand that individuals like her are just looking for reasons to grumble. We simply cannot afford to address every minor concern." Jason fixed his gaze on her, suppressing the words that threatened to spill forth. He required additional insight before fully addressing her. As the shift drew to a close, Jason had gathered ample evidence to validate his instincts. The team was stretched thin, Sandra's guidance was lacking, and Emma was the sole force keeping everything from falling apart. As the evening drew to a close, Jason assisted Emma in wiping down the tables and replenishing the supplies. He expressed admiration for your skills. Emma offered a faint, weary smile. "Thank you. I strive to maintain a seamless flow in everything I do. It's a necessity." Jason paused, contemplating his question. "What keeps you here?" "Text, given all that's happening here. I'm quite taken aback that you haven't sought out other opportunities, Emma remarked with a shrug. I require the position. My mother is unwell, and I am assisting with her healthcare expenses. Additionally, I genuinely enjoy collaborating with others, even when it presents challenges at times. Jason acknowledged his admiration for her increasing. You deserve more than this, he murmured softly. That evening, Jason found himself in his car, gazing at the notebook brimming with his reflections. A tumultuous blend of anger and guilt surged within him. How had he allowed the situation to deteriorate to this extent? He had crafted this company from the very beginning to ensure that employees felt appreciated and customers felt at home. At some point, he had forgotten about that. He realized the time for hesitation had passed. Tomorrow, he would unveil his true identity and begin the journey of redemption. But first, he needed to ponder how to approach Sandra and how to acknowledge Emma for her steadfast commitment. The following morning, Jason parked his car a block from the restaurant, his anxiety palpable. Today marked a significant moment. He meticulously fine-tuned his disguise in the rearview mirror, pulling at the artificial beard and carefully flattening the brim of his cap. He had devoted the night to revisiting every detail he had witnessed and every word he had heard, and it became evident that Sandra's actions could not be overlooked. Yet, it extended beyond her. He bore the duty to restore the culture he had allowed to decline. As he entered the restaurant, the morning shift was just beginning to unfold. Emma stood at the counter, offering a weary yet sincere smile to the customers as they approached. Yet Sandra was tardy. Good morning, Mike, Emma greeted, her voice lighting up at the sight of him. She presented him with an apron. It seems you've returned for another round, Jason chuckled softly. Guess I couldn't stay away. As the morning hustle started to intensify, Jason observed a subtle shift in Emma's demeanor. She appeared more alert, with an intensity about her, as though she was preparing for an impending event. He soon discovered the reason without much delay. Sandra burst in, a quarter past the hour, clutching a cup of coffee and wearing an expression of irritation. She made no effort to offer an apology or clarify her lateness. Instead, she promptly began to scrutinize every detail. Emma, why is that table still dirty? And who's supposed to be restocking the sauces? This place looks like a mess, Sandra snapped as she flung her bag onto the counter. Emma halted her order, a deep blush creeping across her cheeks as she sensed the gaze of a customer upon her. I'll attend to it at my earliest convenience. I've been managing the counter alone, she said softly. Sandra let out a scoff. Excuses don't keep a restaurant running. Just do your job. Jason's jaw clenched, yet he remained silent, observing the exchange unfold. Sandra's reluctance to share the burden of work was unmistakable. Instead, she persisted in hovering, highlighting trivial imperfections while overlooking the increasing queue of customers. At a certain moment, an elderly gentleman in a wheelchair approached the counter. He grappled with the task of retrieving his wallet, awkwardly wrestling with the zipper of his bag. Emma quickly recognized the situation and emerged from behind the counter to offer her help. Take your time, she said softly, kneeling down to assist him in finding his wallet. Sandra, however, let out an exasperated sigh. Emma, we can't afford to waste time on this. There's a line, Jason finally snapped, unable to hold back any longer. He advanced, his tone steady yet resolute. She's making the right choice. If it's such an issue, you can manage the line yourself. Sandra shot back, her gaze sharp. Pardon me. Who do you think you are? Instructing me on how to operate my restaurant. Jason locked eyes with her, his patience beginning to fray. I believe you've been quite explicit about your methods. And they aren't effective. Before Sandra could reply, Emma came back to the counter, her complexion drained. Jason offered her a comforting nod and took a step back, allowing her to complete the transaction with the man in the wheelchair. As the morning progressed, Sandra's demeanor continued to decline. She publicly reprimanded Emma in front of patrons, overlooked fundamental responsibilities, and even harshly responded to a young kitchen staff member for inquiring about the schedule. As the lunch rush approached, the atmosphere in the restaurant grew thick with anticipation. Jason resolved that the moment for action had arrived. He quietly entered the back office, aware that Sandra stored her personal items there. He took off his cap and beard, running his fingers through his hair and adjusting his stance. As he re-entered the dining area, the change was striking. In that fleeting instant, everyone remained oblivious. In that moment, Emma's eyes grew wide with the sudden recognition of his identity. "Jason?" she whispered, her voice a mere breath. Jason nodded in response. "Emma, would you mind bringing everyone to the dining area? I need to speak with the team." Emma promptly complied, her face reflecting a blend of uncertainty and relief. The staff congregated near the counter, murmuring quietly to one another. Sandra lingered to the side, arms crossed, wearing a doubtful expression. Jason inhaled deeply before speaking to them. "I'm Jason Carter," he started, his tone unwavering. "I own this restaurant and the whole chain." A hush enveloped the room. Sandra's cheeks flushed a deep crimson as Emma's eyes brimmed with tears. "For the last 2 days, I've been here incognito to uncover the truth, and I must say, I've witnessed a range of things, some commendable and others utterly intolerable." He shifted his gaze to Emma. "Emma, you have demonstrated the essence of true commitment. You have truly exceeded expectations in your dedication to customers, despite the lack of support you rightfully deserved. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done." Emma's lip quivered, yet she managed to offer a small smile. "Thank you," she murmured gently. Then Jason turned to Sandra, his expression becoming stern. "Sandra, your behavior has been unacceptable. You've shown a lack of respect for both employees and customers, neglected to set a positive example, and fostered a harmful workplace atmosphere. I cannot permit this to persist." Sandra began to speak up, but Jason interrupted her. "This isn't a matter for discussion. You're terminated, effective immediately." The staff gasped, and Sandra's expression contorted with fury. "You can't simply—" "I can," Jason cut in. "And I will. You've had numerous opportunities to improve, and you've opted not to." With that, Sandra stormed out of the restaurant, slamming the door as she left. Jason paused to gather his thoughts before speaking to the team. "Things are going to change around here. Effective immediately, we are introducing a new manager who prioritizes collaboration and mutual respect. Emma, I am pleased to inform you that I would like to promote you to the position of assistant manager. You've earned it." Emma's jaw dropped. "Me? Are you serious?" Jason grinned. "I've never been more serious." The staff burst into applause, and Emma brushed away a tear. After an extended period of uncertainty, the restaurant exuded a sense of optimism. Jason dedicated the remainder of the day to engaging with each employee one-on-one, attentively hearing their concerns and ideas. As he departed, he realized the restaurant was well on its way to transforming into the very establishment he had always dreamed of. In the following fortnight, Jason immersed himself in transforming the restaurant. He came back frequently, now unmasked, attuned to the staff as they discussed operations and making sure his commitments transformed into reality. The shift proved to be quite challenging. There were instances of resistance, especially from those who had become accustomed to Sandra's unrestrained conduct. Yet Jason was resolute that a shift in culture was essential. The initial significant change occurred with the revelation of the new manager. Her name was Maria, a skilled expert Jason had personally assessed from one of the company's other branches. Maria's well-known ability to encourage collaboration and equity was evident before she even arrived, and her composed assurance instantly established the atmosphere. On her inaugural day, Maria assembled the team. "I'm here to support you," she declared, poised at the heart of the dining area. "We are committed to transforming this into a workplace we can all take pride in, but it will require the collective effort of everyone involved. Let's put the past behind us and concentrate on what we can create together." Emma, now proudly displaying her assistant manager badge, stood next to Maria. Despite her lingering nerves about the new role, Jason observed her gradual transformation into the position. She had begun to assert herself more, assigning tasks and even guiding some of the newer team members. One afternoon, Jason chose to drop by unexpectedly to check on the developments. As he entered, mingling with the lunch crowd, he instantly sensed the change. The dining area buzzed with energy yet maintained a sense of order. Maria stood behind the counter, lending a hand during the bustling moments, while Emma navigated between the register and the kitchen, offering assistance wherever necessary. As Jason made his way to the counter, Emma welcomed him with a radiant smile. "Hello, Jason. What brings you here today?" "Just checking in," he said, casting a quick look around. "The place looks fantastic. How have things been?" Emma smiled brightly. "It has required considerable effort, yet Maria has truly excelled. She's imparting so much knowledge, and the team is truly uniting." Jason nodded. "I'm pleased to hear that. You're excelling, Emma. I hope you know that." She felt a warmth rise to her cheeks, her smile growing brighter. "Thank you. That means a lot." Jason settled into a corner booth, relishing the enhanced ambience, while he observed a young man in a worn hoodie entering the restaurant with uncertainty. The young man's nervous demeanor was evident, his gaze flitting about as if anticipating an unwelcome encounter. Jason felt a familiar tension, memories of the encounter with the homeless man from weeks prior flooding back. Yet, this moment unfolded differently. Emma spotted the young man and, with a gentle smile, made her way toward him. "Hello. Is there something I can assist you with?" The young man paused before responding. "I don't have a lot of money, but would it be all right if I could just have some water?" "I'll stay out of the way, I promise." Emma's smile remained steadfast. "Of course. You're free to choose any seat you prefer. And don't concern yourself with the expense. I'll cover the meal for you." She gestured toward a booth. "Just make yourself at home. I'll bring it out to you." The young man's eyes widened in astonishment. "Really? You don't have to do that," Emma replied with a resolute nod, her kindness steadfast. "There's absolutely no issue whatsoever. I'll be right back." Jason leaned back in his seat, a swell of pride enveloping him. This was precisely the kind of environment he had imagined, a space where individuals felt appreciated, regardless of their situations. Later that day, as the lunch rush subsided, Jason summoned Emma into the office. Maria approached, intrigued by the unexpected gathering. "I noticed your interaction with the young man who arrived earlier," Jason started, directing his gaze at Emma. "It brought back the reasons that inspired me to embark on this journey. You treated him with dignity and kindness, and that's precisely the type of leadership this place requires." Emma shifted in her seat, clearly flattered yet somewhat overwhelmed. I simply aimed to make the right choice." "And you succeeded," Jason replied with conviction. He opened his briefcase and presented her with an envelope. "This is for you. It's a reward for your dedication and for being a role model." Emma's hands shook as she peeled open the envelope. Inside lay a check for $5,000. She gasped, covering her mouth. This is overwhelming." "It's precisely what you deserve," Jason replied. "And it's not just that. Starting next month, you'll also be participating in a management training program. I want to invest in your future here, because you've more than proven your potential." Emma felt tears welling in her eyes, but she swiftly brushed them aside. "Thank you, Jason. I'm at a loss for words." Maria, seated next to her, offered a warm smile. "You've earned it, Emma. You're going to do great things." As Jason departed the restaurant that evening, a profound sense of fulfillment washed over him. The transformations were already beginning to take hold. There was a noticeable uplift among employees, a wave of returning customers, and a cultural transformation that reignited a sense of pride. Before he entered his car, he glanced back at the restaurant. It had evolved beyond mere commerce. It served as a mirror to the individuals who toiled within, showcasing their challenges, their victories, and their essence. And Jason understood he would never allow himself to feel that detached again. For Emma and her colleagues, the horizon shimmered with unprecedented promise. For Jason, it served as a profound reminder of the influence an individual can wield when they opt to guide with empathy.